Welcome to the Panza Panza Forum. In the Yoruba language, the word panza is usually injected into poetry to express an uncomfortable, uncensored, and inconvenient truth. The Panza Panza Forum is candid conversations about the life of African immigrants in America as it relates to their adaptation to their new home. While some may find it easy to integrate and can balance between retaining the original African culture while accepting the culture of their new home, many continue to struggle to find a balance between both worlds.
Hello and welcome to Panza Panza Live. This is a podcast where we discuss the lives of African immigrants and their assimilation into Western society as they raise younger generations in a country that is quite different from their own. We also explore the experiences of children of immigrants as they balance the African and Western cultures. We present to you this informative, interesting, and expansive dialogue about the intricate experiences of African immigrants in America.
Hello, listener. Welcome to Panza Panza again. I'm your host, Kemi Seriki, and today I'm so honored in having conversation with Miss Ifeyinwa, Dimoriaku, and Miss Martina Asong about their immigrant experiences and sharing their expertise on the importance of health and life insurance. Both of my guests today are licensed life and health insurance agents with World Financial Group, and they both work with World System Builder. So welcome to both of you to Panza Panza podcast. I want to thank both of you for coming on this platform to talk about your immigrant experience in America, which I always love to ask my guests, and to educate our community about your expertise on importance of health and life insurance. It's truly a pleasure to have both of you on this platform. So as I always regularly ask my guests, can you both fully introduce yourself? Talk a little bit about your background as to where you were born, where you spent most of your childhood and adult life. First of all, let's go to the elder, Miss Asong. First of all, to talk about herself.
Thank you so much for this information. I am called Mrs. Asong Martina. I was born in Cameroon. I'm a Cameroonian. I'm a widow with two grown-up sons. One is here, one is in Cameroon. I came here 2019 to take care of my grandchildren. And by the grace of God, I came successfully. And when I got here about 2 months ago, the younger one passed away. I know all is by God's will. Then about 2 years ago, I met Mrs. Ifeyinwa Okany in church as a reader. I went up and read, came back, and she was seated right behind me. She greeted me. Then when we left the mass, she told me she wants to introduce something to me. And I said, okay, Mama, what is it? I don't even know. You don't know me. She introduced herself to me, and she told me about USB, how lucrative it is, and that if I joined, I could help myself. I did not hesitate, even though I did not know her, she did not know me. But I believe that a friend you meet in church is like a gold you have. So I joined her. Then later on, I had my license. I am struggling to get the post of marketing director. So we work together. I cannot even tell you what she is to me. She has taken me to everywhere that we have conventions to let me learn so that I can correct the mistakes that me and my husband did when we were working and we had money and we did not know about financial literacy campaign and we squandered the money. Today, I am really regretting, but I'm happy that I met a daughter who has introduced me to a worthwhile mission, which I am out. I'm sure I must succeed.
Yes, thank you so much for that. And I'm so sorry for loss of your family member.
Thank you.
That. Yes. And then what were you doing in Cameroon before you came to this country?
Okay, I forgot that I was a teacher. I taught and retired 2019 before leaving Cameroon.
Wow.
I'm a teacher by profession.
Oh, wow. That's so wonderful. And how is it like retiring and having that lack of connection with the youth who actually depend on your loving care that you give them?
Yes, that's true. It is really lacking to be with them, but so greener pastures. And for the sake that I came here to take care, because in America here to work and take care of children is not an easy thing. So my son and the wife needed me That's why I had to come. But the other one in Cameroon is struggling. So I know God has a way for me.
Yes. And I'm so glad you found a daughter who actually pulling you through and said, well, you don't need to stay home just taking care of those grandchildren.
Yeah.
You could also get yourself in something that is
Yeah.
much more, engaging, and it will benefit other members of the community. So, Miss Ifeyinwa, why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourself? Thank you so much, Miss Asang.
Yeah. Okay, so my name is Ifeyinwa Okany Dimoriaku. I was born in Nigeria. My father was a lecturer at the University of Nigeria. So I was born in the academic environment, grew up in Enugu, and then I went to University of Nigeria again, studied architecture, graduated. Then I taught at first at Enugu State University of Science and Technology. After teaching there for a while, I forgot to mention, I got my BSc and MSc in architecture. In architecture, you have to do your bachelor's and master's at once. So when I finished that, I went to lecture at ESUT. I lectured there for a while. Then I went for further studies at Canada, University of British Columbia. There I went to do another master's in architecture, but I specialize in application of computers in architecture. Yeah. Then when I finished from there, I got married after my studies there, came back to Nigeria. Then I lectured a bit again at University of Nigeria before I came back to US to join my husband.
Okay.
So when I came here, after some years, I've managed to get a job at New York City Department of Education as a construction project manager. So now along the line, one day, 4 years ago, a family friend invited me for these financial literacy workshops.
Okay.
I decided to go. Although I know in DOE we have attended some financial literacy work, but I said there's no harm in going to learn, and thank God I did. And because when I went, after going for all those workshops, I realized I was heading for financial disaster. So I decided to join this campaign because I knew that many people out there don't know what is going on. With all my degrees, I was so financially illiterate. So what is happening to all those people out there? So I got involved. And since then, we have been on the road, traveling, learning, educating people. I have helped to educate so many families. And this is my life work. I'm going to continue doing it until I enter the grave.
Thank you so much for that. It's so, because just have to find your passion. And the moment you find your passion, is nothing can take it back. And when you're working, it's not even as if you're working because it's what you love to do. So that's the most important thing. So what would you say your experience like all this time you've been in America as an African immigrant? What is that experience, Mr. Sang?
I have noticed that America, when we are back in our own country, we feel that America is a luxurious country to live in. But for my 5 years that I've spent in America, I've seen that America is a very difficult country to live in. Given the fact that you work, you earn much money, but the money goes back in little taxes and so on. When you buy even food to eat, you pay taxes on it. And I realize now that if you come to America and you are not hardworking, you will not have a place to sleep, you will not have something to eat, and you will be a burden to whoever brought you to America. So America is not a bed of roses. So if you are coming to America, you must be prepared to work and earn money and pay the taxes and everything which you are supposed to pay as you live there.
That's so true. And people back home don't even realize that. Like you said, they don't. And you have to pay taxes because that's how they construct their road. That's why everything is so organized, because you understand the importance of structure. So I'm glad that you make that statement, because anybody listening from home, they will be able to understand that these are the lifestyle that we live in America, because the money, the dollars doesn't come that easy. So what about you?
We don't pick it like 3 leaves.
Yes. What about you?
Okay. My experiences as an immigrant, well, thank God, it took some time to adapt, I must say. Yeah. And as a mother, people say, here, you have to do everything by yourself. It's not like back home where you have people taking care of the children. I remember when I gave birth to my first daughter, I was even sleeping. I was afraid of lying down to sleep because of fear that she might wound herself. It's not easy. But if it's back home, you have somebody taking care of her so that I can sleep. So, but it was not easy. It was not easy. For a period of time before I got my job in DOE, there was a time I was looking for a job. During that period, I really, really had to work hard, look for daycare for my daughter, my children, so that when I get a job, I'll be able to, they'll have somewhere to stay. And then that period, while I was looking for the job, I was doing some business, some little businesses like Avon and all that thing. Then luckily, I took the exam for the construction project manager, this title. I took the exam. I waited and waited. Then when it was because when you take the exam, if you pass it, you have a number. I was around 100 and something 20. So when it was my turn, I went for my interview. I had to go for interview several times before I got the job. And then I remember something else. As an immigrant, when you're applying for a job, degrees from back home, you don't just bring your degree and they just accept you. You have to pass it through. What's the name of that education? There's one agency. You have to pass it through that agency. Then they will assess it to see whether it matches the degree in America. So they had to pass through that before they finally accepted, before I was able to take even the exam for the construction project manager exam. So it's not so easy. And that's why it took me so long before I could get a job in my field. In fact, I'm even lucky that I got a job in my field. I still thank God for that. Because so many people, they come from other countries. When they come here, they have to change their field. I know when I was in Canada, somebody told me of a judge from India who is now working as a parking lot security. That's what we see here. So I'm so lucky to have gotten a job in my field. But even before I got that job, I worked briefly in an NGO. Yeah, an NGO as a program director or something like that. I was helping a reverend sister she has a program in Africa. It's called Our Africa Sister to Sister Conferences. She used to go to Africa, present conferences, teach the reverend sisters how to manage people that have AIDS, So that was my first introduction. So it was good for me. That was how I started even before I got into my field. So it's not easy for an immigrant. When you come here, you have to be humble. Take whatever job you see. In fact, that job I did was a big job compared to what many other people get when they come here. So
I'm asking this question because, like I said, this podcast is listened to globally, so that people from home, we understand the challenges that immigrants tend to face, and they are in this country. Because, like you said, just because you bring a degree, you could be a doctor in Nigeria, top doctor, does not equate that you're going to come in here and practice here. You have to go through their system. You have to pass their exam, because the way they do certain things is different and you have to get to know it. So, and I'm glad that you brought that up. I really appreciate that. So apart from that, what would you say you appreciate mostly about America?
Well, for appreciation, I think the fact that when you come as an immigrant, they offer you a job for you to do and earn your living. It's not a bad thing, despite the fact that they may not give you the job for which you have learned, but at least they offer you something for you to make sure you earn a living and pay your house where you live. And more to that, I think they are hospitable. Because if they were not hospitable, they will not allow all these immigrants to be coming in. It's just that some of the immigrants come and they do the wrong things, but at least America is hospitable.
Thank you for that. What about you?
Okay. Well, of course, the first thing I would say is that one good thing you have in America is there is no light outages like that.
No NEPA.
No NEPA. So there's always light. The place is run efficiently. Yeah, that's one thing I appreciate. Secondly, if you're ready to work hard, you're going to make it in this country. That's good. Because in some countries, you might work hard, but as they say, man, no man. If you don't know somebody, something like that, you will not get anywhere. But here, if you work hard, you will get to where you want to be.
And it's a country of opportunities.
Yes.
Many invention that is being invented in this country is brought sometimes from children of immigrants or immigrants themselves,
Yes.
So it's a country that allows that to expand, explore, and bring your expertise. And that's why America continues to thrive, because they welcome people from different places who will bring in their knowledge and use that to empower the country. So thank you so much. So we've done with all that question now. So now I want to ask both of you, what inspired you to become insurance agents, particularly working with immigrant families?
Like me, as I earlier said, when I heard of financial literacy campaign, it was a little strange to me. I knew that throughout our school back in our country, nobody could teach you financial literacy, how to manage your finances and retire rich. So that is one of the things that inspires me. And another thing is that when you are retired like me and you are dependent on your children, it will not be easy. So I decided to join. Instead of depending on them so much, I can be of help to them to bring up my grandchildren.
Okay. So as for me, as I mentioned, I went for the workshops and I learned so much and I decided to join. One of the things that inspired me to join, first of all, I told you my father was a lecturer, but he was also into investments. So he knew a lot, he had a lot of stock and all that. He even bought for us as children, That was what I knew. Until I went for those workshops. Then I learned about the IU, Index Universal Life Insurance Policy. That policy, before I went for that workshop, I thought that insurance was only when somebody dies, then somebody will get money. When I went for that workshop, the topic, that particular workshop, proper protection, because I went for many workshops, that particular topic was describing life insurance policies, the different types, advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah.
When I went for that workshop, I now learned about a policy, IUL, where you can use the money while you're living. I said, I didn't know there was something like this. I was even told that there was some example given of somebody that was receiving $10,000 every month for long-term care needs because of having that policy. Then I said, oh, man, I really need to have this policy. And then, in addition, because of that, before I went to that those workshops, I didn't have a life insurance and I was not planning to get. I was even investing in stock. But after going for that workshop, that was the end of that. I stopped that investing in stock. I opened life insurance policy, not only for myself or my kids. My whole family has that policy. And apart from that, since I like that policy and I'm in a workshop that is teaching people how to get it, and I was offered the opportunity not only to come and learn, but also join, get a license and help people to get it. Of course, I took the opportunity. And in addition, let me tell you one thing I also learned by going for those workshops. There's a topic called college coaching program. There's a topic on college planning, long-term goals and all those long-term goals. It was in that workshop I realized, oh my goodness, I've not started saving for college for my kids. That time my child was in 11th grade. It's not that I didn't know how much it cost, but when you're in this country, every day is the rat race, you're running, you're sending money back home. You don't sit down to think about this thing. Until that workshop made it alive for me. I have not started saving for college for my kids. I really need to start. So the money I'm making at my job is not enough to now cover up for not starting on time to save. So I need to make more money so that I can save enough for college for the kids so as to avoid student loan.
Yeah. I know.
Yes. So that's why I joined for many reasons.
Thank you so much for that. And I know both of you focus on campaign on retirement and health insurance. That actually part of what is needed in our community. So what is actually long-term care?
Let me begin. Long-term care, as I have studied from this group, refers to a wide range of services and equipment to help chronically ill persons or chronically ill individuals meet his or her health and personal needs. Then long-term care is met by or are often physical and may also be mental and emotional. Although long-term care suggests that its services are provided over an extended duration, we have realized that such services may actually be provided only for a week, a month, or some other shorter period. Then long-term care is also referred to non-acute provided care given to chronically ill individuals for both extended and shorter period of time. Then it has activities, and these activities are called activities of daily living. These include medical and non-medical care to people who have chronic illness or disability. Long-term care needs are mostly associated with activities such as continence, That is ability to maintain control of bowel and bladder functions and perform associated personal hygiene, including caring for a catheter or colostomy bag.
So that's like somebody who actually have severe physical disabilities.
Yes. It also includes dressing. And dressing is the ability to put and remove all clothing and require braces, fasteners, and artificial limbs on your own. If you are not able, then that is you are suffering from long-term care. It also includes bathing. Bathing is the ability to wash oneself by sponge bath in a tub or shower, including activities of entering and leaving the tub or shower by yourself. Eating is the ability to feed oneself intravenously or through the use of a plate, cup, or feeding tube. It also includes toileting, which is the ability to travel to and from the bathroom, get on and off the toilet, and perform associated personal hygiene. It also includes transferring, and transferring is the ability to move to and from bed, your chair or wheelchair without somebody helping you. Then, chronic illness is a long-term health condition that lasts for at least 3 months and requires ongoing medical care or limit daily activities. Chronic illness are often not curable, but they can usually be managed. Some examples of chronic illnesses include arthritis, cancer, diabetes, heart disease, stroke, Alzheimer's disease, dementia, asthma, Corbin disease, cystic fibrosis, and epilepsy. Those are most of the diseases that are classified under chronically or disabled diseases that needs help from people.
I'm glad that you gave a lot of explanation on all these different diagnoses that people could be experiencing, and how it's being covered by this insurance. Because it's so funny when you listen to all this. Recently, I came across a Nigerian. Is it this week or last week? And, that's the first time of me meeting her. And she told me that she's going to Nigeria soon because her husband is suffering from dementia. A lot of things he cannot manage anymore on his own. And
Yes.
she wants to take him to Nigeria because the personal care is expensive for her to be able to pay for that. So she wants to take him to Nigeria. So at least, she had to retire too, so that they could stay home. They could get other people that will help him with that. They will be able to afford to pay for that physical therapy, all kinds of things that he might need, as well as other home care. Even though he has insurance here, he's going to be able to get his medication and take it back home and use, and they will still come back and go. And not everybody have those kind of access. And how much can even that last anyway before coming back? So, Miss Ifeyinwa, why don't you expand more on that? Because some people may listen to this and say, well, I'll take my family member back home if I cannot afford any form of physical care that somebody here personal care that somebody could provide here. So in terms of this insurance on long-term care, I know Mr. Asong already explained in details on that. But in terms of the conflict in the reasoning, that when it comes to African immigrant experience and how we can approach things, you might say, you know what, I'm taking my family back home. I don't need to pay for all these things.
Yeah, actually, there's a way out if you start planning on time. There are various ways of funding long-term care. So if you start, even when you're young, get a life insurance policy that has long-term care rider. You won't need to pay so much. You might pay, like for somebody in his 20s, 30s, you might pay something as low as $100, $200 every month, which you can afford. But it can get you a policy of maybe $500,000, $1 million policy, depending on how much you can afford. So, for instance, if you have a $500,000 policy and you're paying like $200 every month, by the time you need it, that $500,000 policy can qualify you. You know how it works is IUL with an LTC rider. You are entitled to 2% of your death benefit every month. So that means that if you have a $500,000 policy, you get $10,000 every month to take care of your long-term care needs. That will be able to take care of the cost of long-term care. So that's why it's important to start early. That's why we are in our campaign, we are trying to catch them young, especially these young ladies and gentlemen that just got out of college. If they open such a policy at that age, they'll be paying like $200, $300. And that will prepare them for the long-term care course when they retire. By the time they retire, they have enough money to take care of themselves health-wise. And then the annuities, I forgot the annuities too. Even those the annuities we have, the annuities that have long-term care rider. And even your pension, you roll over your pension. You can roll over your pension into an annuity that has long-term care rider. They are hybrid, and they call it hybrid annuities. So financial literacy is so important, because if you know what to do, you roll over that money into an annuity that has long-term care rider. The money will be growing there and grow enough money for you to take care of yourself, your long-term care needs. So it's a matter of information.
So let me also ask you, I know as you get older, what is the average monthly cost for a long-term care? Because as you get older, does the cost increase of what you have to pay?
Yes, it increases as you get older, but it's not something I can say on the spot, this cost is for this age, because you have to do an illustration, and the age, the state where the person is living matters. So it's something that I have to sit down with the app. The person tells me his age, where is he living. So for younger ages, it's cheaper. Well, as you get older, it gets more costly. That's why it's better to start it now when you're young and healthy. If you wait until your 50s, 60s, the cost starts getting more costly.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, so what would you say are the repercussion if somebody does not have any insurance policy? Because within our community, some people might say, well, I have health insurance and that should be enough. I don't think I need any other insurance, because as long as I see the doctor, they give me the care that I need. What more would I say that I need such a extra money to pay some insurance? And I'm not even sure if I'm going to be that sick anyway.
Yes, the repercussion is really very severe, because if you don't have enough money, you will not be able to have the long-term care, because as you stay there and you grow older, the amount you pay increases. And if you cannot pay, you come out, your children will not be able to be taking care of you and going to work at the same time to meet up with their own bills. So the tendency will be either to send you back to Africa for you to go, and their family people begin to manage you, whatever they can do. But to stay here like that, when you need help and you don't have money to pay, and the children are taking care of you, both of you would really starving yourself, and the situation, you cannot pay your bills.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Miss Ifeyinwa, you have any contribution to that?
First of all, many people made the mistake of thinking that the health insurance they have, or whatever government insurance they have, will take care of them. I know so many government workers, when I approach them and tell them, come for this workshop, come and learn, come and do this, they will tell me, oh, the government will take care of it. I tell them, sorry, you don't know the truth, you need to come and learn. It is even on the internet. It's on the AARP website. It was written clearly there. Medicare does not take care of long-term care needs. The only thing that Medicare does is it takes care of some long-term care needs. If you were admitted in the hospital for maybe some surgical, if you are just admitted in the hospital, you had some surgery or one thing or the other that you had to stay in the hospital for a while, then when you're discharged from the hospital, that's when the Medicare will take care of those long-term care needs after being discharged from the hospital. That's the only time is skilled nursing services, skilled nursing care. That's the only time that Medicare takes care. But for continuous long-term care, Medicare doesn't take care of that. But Medicaid takes care of long-term care needs. But you have to qualify. You have to qualify to use Medicaid. And to qualify, you have to be a low-income earner. So if you're not a low-income earner, you can't get Medicaid services. So that's the problem. You have to be making having maybe less than $2,000 or $3,000 every month to be able to qualify for Medicaid.
So I want to ask you about our community. What do you find most fulfilling about working with immigrant family to ensure that they have all this coverage?
Yeah, I find it so fulfilling in the sense that for every person that I'm writing policy for, that means that if the breadwinner passes away, life can still continue for that family. I've heard so many stories of people that passed away I've heard a story, very sad story, of a family where both father and mother passed away, and the children lost their home. In this America, they are being passed from one place to live with one person or the other. That should not happen. We should plan. Everybody should have that insurance. And not only that, have all the financial documents in place, will, trust, everything, so that these things do not happen. I've heard a story of a pastor. He passed away, and they had to do GoFundMe to put together money to take his body back to Africa. Then when they came back, after 3 months, they had to do another GoFundMe because the wife was about to lose their home. This is not the kind of thing that we should be happening. We need to learn how to plan properly. That's why I will not get tired of this mission. Continue working to save as many families as possible.
Thank you so much for that. So what are the life plans that somebody's supposed to have in place as they getting older in this country? Because we touched a little bit, we didn't go into details about some of the life plan that people need to have in place. Like you said, power of attorney. Who is responsible to make sure that you get the care that you need, that will be able to advocate for you?
Definitely, you have to have a will. You have to have a trust. You have to have the power of attorney so that somebody can manage your finances for you. A trusted person can take care of your finances and take decisions for you. Then you have to have advanced directives. That's so that somebody can take medical decisions for you. Those are very important things you need to have in this country.
Okay, thank you so much. I keep pushing that there's so much barriers within our community when it comes to talking about things that are so foreign to us, and especially taking money out and giving it to a corporation whereby we don't know whether we're going to gain anything out of it or not. So do you encounter any cultural or systematic barrier working with African immigrant community as an agent? And how did you address some of these challenges?
I'm laughing because I've spoken to somebody. She told me, "Oh, I'm not used to this kind of thing." Many of our people are not used to this insurance business because it's something in the culture of America. It's not our cultural thing. So I must say we usually have to work very hard to educate our people because they're not used to that. They are more used to buying and selling. And in fact, there was somebody that told me he believes in assets that he can touch. So when you talk to them, they're more interested in, oh, that house, I have that landed property, I have that house, I have this. No, you need to have this. In fact, I remember one video posted on, I think, Instagram. The guy he started by saying, "Listen, my African brothers, I need to talk to you." He now narrated a story of, he's from Senegal. He told a story about something that happened to a Senegalese brother. He witnessed it. And it seems he's in the health care industry. This is a Senegalese guy, worth millions back home, has houses, had property, but had no insurance here. But guess what? He was now terminally ill. He couldn't even afford the money for hospice. Can you imagine that? For hospice care. Yet he's a millionaire back home. So the guy ended the video by saying, "Please, my brothers, get insurance." So that's the culture we need. We have a lot of work to do. Many of the people believe in, oh, that property back home. Oh, I have this, I have that. I don't need insurance. Yes, you might have the property back home, but you still need to have something here to take care of it. And then people, even if you're going back, maybe tell me, oh, I am going to retire back home. Even if you're going to retire back home, remember that one day you're going to come back for treatment here. Which money did you keep here? So, but if you have that policy, the policy is there in place, because how it works, you can set it up in such a way that it's paid up by the time you're retired. So it will continue running. Anytime you need it, you can come back and the money will still be used to take care of your long-term care needs. So the wise thing to do is set up the policy. If you want to go and retire in Africa, that's good. But when you come back for treatment, that policy is waiting for you to take care of you.
Thank you so much for that. Mr. Sang, you have anything to contribute?
Yes, Amma. I just want to say that we need to really educate our people back from Africa seriously. And I pray they listen to us, because I know the impression that they had back in Africa is not very good about insurance, because people used to take insurance policy in Africa. The people giving it will not explain everything to them. So at the end, they lose the money. Like myself, I'm a typical example. I refused taking an insurance policy when the insurance person came to me. He even talked about my child. I told him, God is my child. our insurance, because many people had the experience that they pay money into insurance, but at the end, they don't have a single franc. The person who sold them the policy will turn around, fraud, and take the money from insurance. So our people, if they have that type of impression, then we need to do a lot by educating them and telling them that what happened in Africa is not happening here, that this one is real and it is helping. So I think that is what we need to do. We need to find a strategy to educate them very well.
I agree with that. That's so important. We have to educate. And we know African immigrant community is so diverse. We have the Francophone speaking Africans, we have the English speaking African. Does issues like immigrant status and language barrier affect the access to adequate health insurance coverage?
Okay, do you know what? I'm happy to tell you, I love this company. You know, as you deal with more and more clients, you find out more. I found out that there are companies that give policies to people that are undocumented. So I've made good use of it.
So what about the language barrier?
Language barrier is no problem. Do you know that even in the application, there's a allowance for translation? No? They make it accessible to everybody. It shows that people don't know. You can have a translator translating things for you as you're preparing the policy. So it's accessible. It's just that we need to get the information out there. That's why I'm happy about this podcast. Maybe some more people might be safe.
So let me also ask you, because some people don't have adequate income to be able to afford to pay the insurance. And the insurance may not based on your income and say, you know what, I'm going to charge you your insurance based on your income. How does that put into consideration?
Okay, I'm happy to tell you that there are policies for every, no matter how little you make, there are cheap policies that can cover, even with living benefits. There are cheap policies with living benefits.
Okay.
So what I do is that IUL, if I see you can't afford it, I'll give you, there's a one called Trendsetter Living Benefits. Unfortunately, they don't give it in New York. But I know that there are other companies that have living benefits. I'm talking about Transamerica, Trendsetter LB. But there are other companies that also give living benefits in New York. So there are cheap policies for everybody. So it's accessible to everybody, just that people don't know.
And have you come across some of the challenges that you might think life insurance policy, especially those tailored to aging individual that immigrants tend to face? You know, what challenges do immigrant family encounter when seeking insurance policy, especially those that tailored towards aging individual?
Okay, the main thing is that the problem of policies for aging people is that because they are old, the cost is high. That's the problem. The higher the age, the premium cost will now be higher. So for such people, the best thing for them to get is just final expense if they cannot afford the IUL, like I said. And then, but do you know what? There's always a way out. For somebody that was working and had retirement accounts, there's a way you can use money from the retirement accounts can be used to get the policy. So that's another thing. That's a way out. You don't have to pay up the money upfront. Instead, they use money from the retirement account to pay that for that policy. So it's all about financial literacy again.
Yeah, because when we're talking about retirement account, some people may feel that they don't want to give that kind of money to an insurance,
Exactly. You're right.
Whether they're going to be sick and they need that kind of care. But why should I then take my money that I could use in surviving? Because some people, they might even not have pension. Social security might not be enough for them to.
Exactly.
And with New York City, in terms of the rent, humongous, you're looking at a studio for $2,500 in New York City. How can they be able to accommodate giving their money to insurance?
Exactly. Yeah, I understand what you're trying to say.
And then, with their age, can they even afford to pay for this insurance, long-term insurance care?
Yeah, that's a problem. So, but another thing is that if they cannot afford it, then that means they qualify for Medicaid. For such a person that cannot afford it, most likely will be able to qualify for Medicaid. So that person will use Medicaid.
And, I know this is when we're talking about aging, as immigrant family member age, what health risks become more concerning, and how can the health and life insurance plan be adjusted to their needs? Because we already talked about dementia, we already talked about, but not everybody go through that. But there could be other other health challenges that might come and could become more concerning. And how can health and life insurance plan adjust to these needs?
Okay, so I guess one of the health concerns are usually heart disease. There's a lot of stress or diabetes. So these same policies take care of that because those policies most of them have terminal illness, chronic illness, and critical illness riders attached to them.
Okay.
The Index Universal Life Insurance Policy. Yeah.
Okay. And what advice would you give to immigrant family who may be uncertain about when and how to even apply or increase their coverage as they age? Is there any adjustment as you get older?
Yes, the good thing about this, the Index Universal Life Policy is flexible. Unlike the term life policy doesn't have any cash value, but this IUL is flexible. You can adjust it and has riders, long-term care, chronic illness, critical illness. So my advice to them is get it now. And most importantly, call us to be educated. We have these workshops practically every day, except Sunday, where we teach people how these things work. So any question they have, they come to us, we help them.
You mentioned term life insurance that people have.
Yeah.
Which could be 20 years, 30 years, and they pay you.
Yes.
So can they convert it to long-term insurance? How does that work?
Okay.
Let's assume I have term life insurance because I was talking to somebody about 2 weeks ago on this, and he said he has a term life insurance and it's only for 10 years because his children were still young at that time. But now, as they're getting older, that 10 years will soon be over. So do your own insurance take over? You could take over that term insurance and convert it to long-term?
Okay. So it depends on what the person got. There are term life policies that are convertible.
Okay.
So if you got the convertible one, then you can convert it. So it depends on what the person got.
And those insurances only maybe if something happened to the person and then the children could take over, or is it anyway? It depends on what kind of term life insurance that they have.
I mean, if
a parent passed away, that kind of insurance is supposed to pay those children.
Yes, the children will get the money, the benefit.
Get the money because it's not insurance that actually for caring.
Yeah. Actually, the insurance, there are different types. The term life insurance, as I told you, there's the modern one that has living benefits.
Okay.
So the term life insurance that has living benefits, it might have a number of years, let's say 20-year term, trendsetter living benefit insurance. Within those 20 years, if the person becomes terminally ill, chronically ill, do you know that the person, they can get money from the death benefit to take care of the person while he's living? If the person passes away within that period, then the remaining money goes to the family. That's how it works. That's the term life policy. But if the person wants to convert it to IUL, he has to convert it there's a certain number of years within which he has to convert it. So if you convert it within those years, you can convert it to a permanent policy. Then the permanent policy, that is the IUL with living long-term care benefits, works the same way, just that is permanent. The other one has some years, has a limit, depending on the number of years you decide to get. So the IUL with long-term care benefits, the same thing. If you have long-term care need, anytime from the day it was approved till you pass away, you start receiving, it's called accelerated death benefit. Money from your death benefit will be approved for you while you are living. So that's how it works. But the good thing about that policy, the IUL, is not only will you get money from your death benefit while you're living, it has cash value. So you can also borrow money from it. That's the one problem that people don't know about this insurance. They believe that when you put money in insurance, the money is there, you can never touch it again. No. If you have an IUL, it has cash value. You can still later go and borrow money from it. I know somebody who was able to borrow $35,000 from her IUL to pay for the down payment of her office in Boston.
Wow.
So people need education. Yes.
So, Mr. Sang, do you have any contribution to this before we close?
Well, I don't think I have any other thing to say, but I just want to say that we need to continue educating people. Even if they reject us, we need to find another way of impacting the knowledge in them in such a way that we will understand, because we are out to save them. We are not out to exploit them. We need to make them know that this company, this organization is out to educate and help people come out of their problems.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
How can a listener connect with you, or if they have further information to ask a question, on health insurance or life insurance? How can they connect with you, or any further information needed, or any social media connection? Because a lot of time people get information through social media sometimes.
Okay. World Financial Group and World System Builder.
You could send it to me, so I'll put it in the podcast notes.
Good.
Okay.
Yes, I'll send the website address. So I'll be so happy to send it, because workshops are going on every day. In fact, the topic of Thursday was long-term care, because okay, by the way, this month is long-term care awareness month. So the topic was long-term care. There was somebody from the company, one of the companies that specializes in long-term care. They described the long-term care benefits. They were illustrating the policies. People need to come for these workshops and learn.
Where do you hold the workshop?
It's on Zoom.
On Zoom.
Every Monday to Friday, 3 times a day.
So that you have different topics that you cover.
Different topics,
Yes,
and
different
repeated over and over and over again.
Even Saturday from 10 to 12, we have another
We
topic.
have our own, because there are 600 centers. Our center holds its workshop on Saturdays, 10 to 12. But the weekday workshop by the World System Builder is Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. in the afternoon, 8 p.m. in the night, 10 p.m. in the night. So no matter, we are trying to accommodate as many people as possible. If you're working in the morning, you can come for the night workshop. If you're working in the night, you can come for 2 p.m. workshop. So
And how can people sign up for the workshop? What are the procedure?
Even on that website, the link, I'll send you the link for the calendar. That has a calendar. If you go to that website, you see register for workshop. And remember, I forgot to mention, this is going on in US and Canada. So if you go inside that website, you see US calendar, you see Canada calendar. So you just click on, if you want to register for the US workshop, there's a place you click and you register.
Okay.
And it's free. Isn't that wonderful?
Yes, it's wonderful. So in closing anyway, thank you so much for all this information. So Pansa continue to normalize conversation about the importance of community engagement, about African immigrant experiences in America and in the diaspora. As we publicly continue to discuss issues affecting our community, we're shredding away stigma associated with uncomfortable dialogue. So thank you so much, Miss Ifeyinwa Dimoriaku.
Dimoriaku.
Miss Martina Asong, for coming to Pansa podcast to share your expertise on the importance of health and life insurance and its benefit to African immigrant community. I'm so sure those who will listen to this episode will find this information very helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Ponzo Live Podcast. We hope to have you back with us in the next episode as we continue to explore the nuances of the African immigrant experience. If you'd like to connect with us, you can email us at talk@pansapansa.org. That is talk@pansapansa.org. And follow us on Instagram at pansa.pansaforum. Until next time, remember to spread kindness and love. Thank you and take care of yourselves.